Welcome everyone to a one-story teller where the ordinary becomes extraordinary and the truth is often stranger than fiction. Tonight we bring you a story that will leave you on the edge of your seat, questioning everything you thought you knew about justice, identity, and the power of secrets. This is a tale of betrayal, courage, and a courtroom twist so shocking it will echo in your mind long after the final gavel falls. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's dive into the story that's breaking the internet. White cop illegally arrests black man, shocking courtroom twist when his true identity revealed. It was a quiet Tuesday evening in the small town of Willow Creek, a place where everyone knew everyone, and crime was almost unheard of. The streets were lined with old oak trees, their branches swaying gently in the autumn breeze. But that night, the peace was shattered by the blaring sirens of a police cruiser. Officer Dan Harris, a seasoned cop with a reputation for being tough but fair, had been patrolling the neighborhood when he spotted a black man walking down the street. The man, later identified as Marcus Johnson, was minding his own business, heading home after a long day at work. But something about him caught Harris's attention. Or so he claimed. Harris pulled over, stepped out of his car, and approached Marcus. What happened next would change both their lives forever. "Sir, can I see some ID?" Harris asked, his tone firm but not unfriendly. Marcus, confused but cooperative, handed over his driver's license. Harris glanced it, then back at Marcus. "You match the description of a suspect we're looking for," he said, his voice hardening. "I'm going to need you to come with me." Marcus protested, insisting he had done nothing wrong, but Harris wasn't having it. Within minutes, Marcus was handcuffed and shoved into the back of the police car, his pleas falling on deaf ears. The next morning, Marcus found himself in a cold, sterile jail cell, charged with a crime he didn't commit. The police claimed he was involved in a recent string of burglaries in the area, but Marcus had an airtight alibi. He had been at work during every single incident, surrounded by co-workers who could vouch for him. But Harris was determined to make the charges stick. He had a reputation to uphold, and in his mind, Marcus was guilty until proven innocent. The evidence was flimsy at best, a vague description of the suspect and a single fingerprint that didn't even match Marcus's. But Harris didn't care. He was convinced he had his man. As the days turned into weeks, Marcus's family and friends rallied around him, determined to prove his innocence. They hired a young, ambitious lawyer named Sarah Mitchell, who was known for taking on tough cases and winning. Sarah was confident she could get the charges dropped, but she had no idea what she was about to uncover. The trial began on a crisp Monday morning, the courtroom packed with spectators eager to see how the case would unfold. Marcus sat at the defense table, his face a mask of quiet determination. Across the room, Harris sat with the prosecution, his arms crossed and his expression unreadable. The prosecution presented their case first, painting Marcus as a dangerous criminal who had terrorized the town. But Sarah was quick to poke holes in their argument, pointing out the lack of concrete evidence and presenting Marcus's alibi. Then it was Harris's turn to take the stand. He spoke confidently, recounting the night of the arrest and insisting that Marcus was the man he had been looking for. But Sarah wasn't about to let him off the hook. "Officer Harris," she began, her voice calm but firm. "You claim that my client matched the description of the suspect. But isn't it true that the description was vague at best?" Harris hesitated. "Well, yes, but... And isn't it also true that the fingerprint found at the scene didn't match my client's?" Harris shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "That's correct, but..." Sarah cut him off. "So based on a vague description and a fingerprint that doesn't match, you decided to arrest an innocent man?" The courtroom erupted in murmurs, but Sarah wasn't done. She had one more card to play, a card that would change everything. "Officer Harris," Sarah said, her voice dropping to a near whisper, "do you recognize this man?" She held up a photograph showing a young black man with a striking resemblance to Marcus. The room fell silent as Harris's eyes widened in shock. That's my brother," he stammered, his voice barely audible. The courtroom exploded in gasps and whispers. Sarah waited for the noise to die down before continuing. Your brother, who has a history of criminal activity, is the real suspect in these burglaries, isn't he? She asked, her gaze never leaving Harris's face. Harris looked like he had been punched in the gut. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Sarah pressed on. You knew your brother was the one committing these crimes, but instead of turning him in, you framed an innocent man to protect him. Isn't that right, Officer Harris? The room was in chaos as the truth sank in. Harris had been willing to ruin an innocent man's life to cover for his brother. The judge called for order, but the damage had been done. The trial ended with Marcus being acquitted of all charges, while Harris was arrested on the spot for obstruction of justice and falsifying evidence. The town of Willow Creek was left reeling, struggling to come to terms with the betrayal of one of their own. Marcus, though relieved to be free, was haunted by the ordeal. He had lost his job, his reputation, and nearly his freedom, all because of one man's lies. But he refused to let it break him. With the support of his family and friends, he began to rebuild his life, determined to move forward. As for Harris, he was sentenced to several years in prison, his once promising career in ruins. His brother, too, was eventually arrested and charged with the burglaries, bringing a measure of justice to the victims. The screen fades to black, then slowly fades back in to reveal the A1 Storyteller logo once more. The music swells, dramatic and triumphant. And there you have it, folks. A story of betrayal, courage, and the shocking twist that no one saw coming. This is why we tell these stories, to remind us that the truth is always worth fighting for, no matter how deeply it's buried. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to A1 Storyteller for more gripping stories that will keep you hooked until the very end. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and always seek the truth. This is A1 Storyteller, signing off.